Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello and good day everyone. My name is Dama Rifki and today I would like to present my paper for final exam of paper presentation class entitled The Effectiveness of Studying Online During Pandemic Based on Student Perception. Okay, but before I start to explain about my research paper, I would like to deliver my outline. Consists of six. First, introduction. Second, literature review, including theoretical framework, empirical review. Third, research method. Fourth, result findings. Fifth, discussion. And sixth, conclusion. So, for the introduction, a brief history of pandemic. We need to understand that human being already encountered several pandemics way before COVID-19, namely Spanish flu, HIV/AIDS, swine flu, Black Deaths, and many more. However, because of current pandemic COVID-19 is really limiting our interaction with other people, therefore the educational system especially cannot go like what it's supposed to be because students and lecturers used to gather in one class, one place, and learning or teaching. However, because of these, because because they are unable to meet and interact one another due to the effort of mitigation by social distancing, using masks, and many more. Therefore, there is a shifting of conventional learning method. According to the explanation from Tuan Nguyen, he stated that online learning method brings much benefit compared to conventional learning method because of several measurements, such as test scores, student engagement with class material, improved perception of learning and the online format, stronger sense of community, reduction in withdrawal or failure of students. However, these results of online learning thought were not accommodating all of the elements. And there are other elements that should be measured as well, such as students' active engagement, formative assessment, sense of collaborative community, independent skill of students, and synchronous and asynchronous work or meeting. So the research questions will be like, how do students engage with the materials in online learning? How lecturers accommodate their students through formative assessment? Does online learning create a better collaborative environment for students? Does online learning make students independent in learning skills? And what is the impact of synchronous and asynchronous work during online learning? All right, so in the literature review part, in the theoretical framework, just like what I stated and mentioned before in Tuan Nguyen statement, elements to assess the effectiveness of online learning do not lie only on test scores and then um, sense of community and the reduction of withdrawal. However, there are other things such as students' active engagement with the material, which means that everything a learning process that discussing and involves doing things and thinking about things. While formative assessment is tool to monitor student learning that provide feedback can be used by lecturer to improve the way they deliver material. Collaborative communities means that it's a sense of community, a sense of belonging from students due to the same situation or circumstances, which will be able to prevent isolation and burnout. Independent learning skill is become important because of independent learning skill becomes important because of the shifting of faculty centered and lecture based mindset to student as the center. Therefore, student need to be able to manage themselves, manage their assignment time, manage their subject, and have critical thinking skills due to the shifting of faculty center to student as the center. Student as the center of the learning is the main one of the main actors that need to be assessed to determine whether it is effective or not by using online learning method. So in the empirical review, according to research of the effectiveness of online learning by the future of state universities, it also shows that online learning is beneficial, which also measured to the elements that has been mentioned by Tuan Nguyen itself. However, we need to understand that the vulnerability of previous research, which do not assess the online learning method by 5 elements other than test scores and reduction of withdrawal or failure of students, such as students' active engagement, formative assessment, collaborative communities, independent skill, synchronous and asynchronous work, need to be assessed, need to be researched even more. And therefore, this research paper of mine will try to answer or assess these 5 elements. And we need to understand that the uncertainty of online learning is exists due to several factors, such as the facility of the faculty, the facility of the university, the facility of the state or country itself, um, related with signal, related with internet quota, and etc. All right. So in this research paper, the research method itself, I'm using quantitative method by aiming third year or higher social and political science students of international relations in Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. I'm trying to measure the effectiveness of online learning for 3 concentrations, namely diplomacy, multinational corporations, MNC, and non-governmental organization, NGO. Because these 3 concentrations of international relations need to have practical experience. For example, diplomacy need practical diplomatic class, MNC and NGO, they need study trip in order to know or understand even more the characteristic of MNCs and NGOs that exist within our environment. And the quantitative research itself will be using questionnaire with 10 questions targeting 18 response. And these are the results and findings of my questionnaire. So first, for the active students active engagement, there are 4 categories of students active engagement, namely inactive, less active, quite active, and active. There are 4 students, there are 4 inactive students answered that the reason why they are being inactive is due to the clear explanation, and some of them also confused with the explanation from the lecturer. Therefore, they do not actively ask during the class. And for the less active students, there are 7 students. They answered that they only active during the discussion, while some of them also tired of studying online due to the hectic schedule that they have. For the quite active students, which 6 students, they answered that they are confused with the material, and there's also problem with connection, which also influence of why they do not ask actively during the class. However, there is only one active student answered that she would like to start or initiate every discussion. And because of this, we can conclude that the most students in Universitas Muhammadiyah that I distributed questionnaire is or can we categorize as less active students? Right. And then I would like to assess whether they are able to study independently or not. And I split to the three category. First is not studying independently. There are three students are not studying independently due to limited internet quota, and students often ask their friends about subjects they learn. And then there are seven students answer some subjects are hard to understand, and I categorize them as those who are not really studying independently. On the other hand, there are eight, most of the students answered that they are able to study independently due to the easy access that provided by lectures in my class for the materials, videos, and journals that they need to learn. Therefore, we can conclude that students are actively studying independently. Okay, so um, for this section, for this part, I try to assess the formative assessment. Because as we know, formative assessment is a tool to monitor student learning that provide feedback can be used by lecturer to improve the way they deliver material. However, most of the students, 11 students, answered that lecturers do not give chances for students to criticize or suggest, which means that formative assessment did not really happen or did not happen. On the other hand, only seven students answered yes. Students criticized the online learning process for connection problems and a burden of assignments. Followed by nine students answered yes, there is a change of learning method, but it is not applied in all subjects with other lecturers. And also, nine students answered that no, there is no critique from the students, therefore the lecturers do not change the method of learning. All right, so going next to the collaborative communities part. So um, in this part, 11 students answered that no, lecturer's explanation is clear enough and students prefer to finish short. While there are seven students answered friend's explanation is easier to understand, students want to get new insights and collaboration for group assignment. So the students help one and another during this online learning due to the friend's explanation is easier to understand. That's why they ask their friends, while some of them do not ask their friends because the clear explanation from the lecturers. And the next, when I try to assess the collaborative communities, there are three students answered that assignment is considered as parameter on measuring student abilities from every class. Therefore, they do not collaborate with another during the exam. However, 15 students answered that by discussing or sharing insights are more fun than doing it alone, and students feel responsible to help because they also got help from another students. So the collaborative communities in this part, when students ask or collaborate with their friends for the assignment or the exam itself, is happening and can be seen through the 15 students out of 18 students agreeing with working with their friends. And then trying to assess the independent skill of the student itself. In this part, I ask about do they attend the class on time or not? And there are three categories. First, there are seven students answered no due to the connection problem. And two students answer sometime due to their course to finish and under personal matters, then therefore they do not attend class on time. However, most of the students, none of the students answered yes, They are afraid of being left behind by lecturers' explanation, and students try to respect their lecturers. Therefore, they able to independently manage themselves. And take a look. Um, and also, I try to ask or assess whether or not collect their they submit or collect their assignment on time. Three of students answered no, depends on what subject, and some claims they are lazy to submit or collect their assignment on time. However, most of the students, 15 students, answered that yes, they submit the assignment on time because they would like to maximize the score from every assignment. In asynchronous and synchronous meeting, I try to assess whether or not they understand asynchronous, whether or not they understand asynchronous. So I categorize three. First, no students consists of 7 students that answered that the materials that provided by lecturers have complex language, although sometimes depends on what subjects. And most of the students, 8 students, answered that sometimes they understand the material in asynchronous meeting, but still confused. Therefore, there should be more explanation from lecturers. And last but not least, 3 students answered yes. Video and journals provided by lecturers are enough. Um, and I tried to assess the synchronous meeting by distributing the questionnaire. And most of the students answered that. 12 students answered yes, it's easier to understand. There is an interactive communication between students and lecturers, and not all of the materials provided can be understood by reading. On the other hand, there are 6 students answered no, it is not effective, disrupting course, and redundant because there are materials provided in online platform. All right, so the discussion after the result findings that I already explained before, it can be seen that the online learning during pandemic based on students' perception in Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta is not very effective due to the several reasons. First, low participation that we can see during the students' active engagement. And then second, materials provided in online platforms are easy to access. Third, lecturers do not give opportunities for inputs by open for critics or suggestion. Fourth, collaborative community still exists because students are working and asking one another, helping one another for assignment or even exam, for example. And asynchronous meeting is not really able to make students understand the material. Although some of the students understand when lecturers put the materials within the online platform such as my class and etc. So in conclusion, there are 3 things that need to be understood according to 5 elements that act as parameter, like what Tuan Nguyen already said before. Online learning in Universitas Muhammadiyah Jakarta is not really effective. Second, 3 out of 5 elements have been fulfilled while the other 2 have not. Therefore, we can state that it is not really effective for online learning method to be applied in Universitas Muhammadiyah Jakarta. Therefore, there should be improvement for the better online learning. Recommendation to improve the research by expanding the number of samples and a simple straightforward questionnaire, because I use 10 questions and I only have 18 participants. Therefore, there should be more participants involved to assess precise data, whether it is effective or ineffective for students to learn. I think that's all from me, and thank you for watching this video, and I hope that this video will be helpful to you And thank you for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.